Hello everyone, Hara here, and we're back to part 2. Um, so, I'm actually trying to uh, liberate these workers so I gain influence on Venice, um, especially since it gives food to my capital. Uh, it was a great deal, and at this point I actually didn't attack those barbarians. I was hoping they would grab that worker so I could liberate it again and gain more influence on Venice, which actually happened. Was a bit cheap, but why not uh, use the tactic? I mean, it was all for a good reason, and there I got that city state was an ally, gained some, uh, gained one more food, and gained some happiness. They were giving furs, I think. Not sure if they had furs, but at the moment, but they were gonna give me pretty soon, which was great. So at this point, rising the population was one of the goals, uh, especially since I had only population potential. The only production I would actually get is from the forest with construction, which I didn't have, or I wouldn't have anytime soon. Was going for philosophy, trying to get national college. So I was going for granary. It doesn't matter if I had any granary resources or not. I just wanted to get to more food out of it. At this point I was really thinking what to actually get, and I knew I was going to expand sooner or later with on the desert tiles, so I went fate from desert tiles, which gave me, at the start I had a potential of 4 fate, which meant that I would find my religion first among them, and one of the goals would be to get the Stonehenge, so I have some extra fate. I could have went for the Great Library first instead of Stonehenge, but uh, I thought that fate was more important, so I didn't want anyone else to get Stonehenge, especially since it's an epic. Uh, I was going to go for buying pre-industrial units with fate, which would be a major thing here. That was a spearman from Venice, I think. So having every city-state that you find pledged to protect, you'll have 10 influence on them as a starting bonus. So as soon as you get some quest for them, it will actually mean something. There's my bowman, which actually had some use. I mean, the city state made some use out of it. So at this point, I didn't even know where Korea was. You can see that my spearman is on the one side protecting those salt improvement tiles, improved tiles, I mean, and academy, just in case any barbarian shows up. And at this point, I was going to go fortify that warrior just to wait for the city state to clear out the camp, and just to discourage the barbarians from attacking me and damaging my warrior, killing it before it could actually do any good. So Venice lost another worker to barbarians, which was a good thing. Knowing it, uh, was just going to wait for the good opportunity and free that worker. I mean, give it back, just to keep Venice allied as long as possible. I was actually chopping the forest just to increase my um, Stonehenge production. Um, at this point, I gained influence over two city-states. I became an ally with two city-states, so that was a bit fortunate for me. But they were just allied for one turn. Still, having them as friends wasn't that bad. Later on, I realized I shouldn't have cut all the forest. I mean, I didn't cut every forest style, but some of them which I could actually use, I did. And I was lacking production later on. Had population, but only for growth, nothing else. And specialists come really late on apex speed. At this point I could actually kill that scout. Um, could just declare war on Aztecs and move my warrior right next to him, so he couldn't move more than one tile, or he could go in the opposite direction and go all around, actually wasting at least 20 more turns before he could reach his base with that scout and his worker. So I I let him slide there. Um, Later on I knew I shouldn't have, but I, just because I didn't really uh, feel I need to kill that scout and slow him even more. I was already sure of my lead, especially against the Aztecs. Seeing him trying to take that worker was good enough sign that he's actually far behind. Not sure why would he need a worker at this point. I mean, I have one worker and I don't feel like I need more. If I had two, I would already have almost every time improved, and I have only 7 populations, so even now every citizen is actually working a good tile. So um, at this point I had to move my warrior because he would have died to those barbarians, and I moved him in front of the Aztec. I actually knew that he was going to attack me, but better that he loses HP than barbarians. So, and I knew that a barbarian camp was right in front of him, so it was just a matter of time when the barbarian would spawn and kill his scout. But that was his decision. Um, he said that the scout was on full HP, which I saw that he didn't actually have a level. At this point I was still on the first place with the manufacturing goods, but that was only because I had more population than they did. They had some hills, but I had more growth, so I had the only production at this point was from those two salts and my capital, so that was like 6 production, and from social policy I had 1, but that's about it. And there's the spearman, barbarian spearman, that actually got his scout, bringing the worker to the camp below me, so I knew that he actually just did me a favor there. He did kill my warrior, but at this point I don't need more units. Just they would just waste my gold, so I had 2 units to protect, and that was just enough. Wanted to get one more bowman just so I could actually clear that camp from with that worker. And at this point I should have asked for more, but I knew he wouldn't give more. um, why I didn't want to accept just an exchange one for one, because I knew he needed more than I did. I had enough happiness from city state, from my city states, so he was probably down to zero, or even maybe on a negative, or he was going to be soon on negative, so he wanted to exchange and I didn't. I mean, 30 gold was not much of a meaning, but it just showed him that I didn't want to let him slide with that my warrior kill. He killed my warrior for no reason. I mean, he didn't have to, especially since I let him live with the city state. So he was just making some things up here. So he accepted because he actually needed it. That was that was for sure. I mean, at this point or any point, uh, if you don't need something and your opponent offers you, I mean, you could have use of it, but you don't need it that much. You should ask for more, because you're just doing him a favor, allowing him to grow, allowing him to have use of it, and you don't have that much use of it. So of course I gained extra 4 happiness, and my golden age was going to come faster, but golden age at epic speed isn't much of a big deal. So I gave that worker back to the city state, gaining even more influence, just ensuring that I would actually have the benefits from being an ally with them for a long time. Uh, and at this point, when I asked him if he actually saw where Korea was, he didn't want to tell me, but I figured it out, especially since he had only 2 luxury resources. He would have actually offered him, or not sure, but anyway, the Korea said that he was struggling with the barbarians, so I guess he didn't really move that far from his base, especially since I explored most of the map, seeing that he wasn't really close to the Aztecs. So I assumed he didn't actually find them. why does that matter? It matters because uh, the rules, there are no strict rules. I mean, you can obviously trade with your opponents. Um, so if he could trade with Korea and me, he would have the advantage over us. He had though only two of the same luxuries, only two wine, so he couldn't really trade something else, but he could try to get um, an exchange one for one. Even the luxury resource that he had only one copy, so he could actually try to get some of the luxuries that would give his city uh, will of the king, so he could grow. That's one of the things. So it was time to clear some of the barbarians, so I could be free of them. And the video is going to stop here.